UCF Ultimate Catfighting.
What's up, man? Welcome to the UCF podcast, dude. Is it okay?
Yo, welcome,
Is
man.
it okay if we call it the Adesanya edition?
Call it what?
The Adesanya.
I'm not getting the reference. You have to explain.
You're not getting the Adesanya edition reference.
Well, it's Adesanya, but what's the adio thing?
Adios? You know what that means?
Well, okay, I wasn't hearing adios. Okay, whatever, dude.
It's over. That's why it's over. It never even began.
Staying in, man.
It never even began for us. But I was gonna do like a little recap, oh, dude, it's the Adesanya edition. There's been at least one fraud check. Heavyweight fights are boring, and women, for the first time ever, are seen in Saudi Arabia. We can't do that now, because you didn't get the Adesanya joke. So just cut it. Just cut the whole thing. Just cut the whole podcast.
So anyways, this is the UCF podcast. My name is Francis, and I'm here with my co-host, Clark. I hope you enjoyed that clusterfuck of an intro. We're going to be reviewing UFC Fight Night Saudi Arabia, Adesanya versus Imavov, or as I was hearing, Adios, Sanya.
That's a good one, man.
Yeah. So tell me what you saw in that main event, Clark.
He got punched in the chin in the second round, and then it was over. It really is. I mean, I don't know. It wasn't... Round one was pretty solid. So I think that some of the reactions have been a little bit exaggerated. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know, dude. Israel getting tagged like that and going down in this way, I think a lot of people are sitting there like, this might be the tail end of ye old career. I think this is his third loss in a row. But he didn't look... I mean, despite that, he didn't look that bad in round one. He was pretty solid. He was doing pretty good. I think he won round one, to be honest with you. But then, you win round one and then you get tagged round two and go down. Well, then you lose the fight.
This is correct. As usual, I have pulled up the UFC stat page. And, I mean, you're 100% correct. Round number one very clearly goes to Adesanya. The only real success Nasruddin had in round number one was the takedown attempts, which he failed. And Adesanya actually tried a trip of his own and almost got it. But for those of you who watched my prediction video, all 128 of you, thank you. This fight went exactly like I said it would. Nasruddin just finished Israel earlier than I thought he would. Mixing in the takedowns to the striking to the takedowns. Israel has had trouble with this. This is how Dricus du Plessis got him. And actually, the punch that Nasruddin gets Israel with is just about the same punch that Sean Strickland cracked him with at the start of their fight that changed the entire complexion of that fight. I've been doing a whole, meditation on Israel Adesanya's UFC career, because on the rise, middleweight was the lowest of the low. It was slop. It was the post-Anderson Silva era. Outside of Yoel Romero and Robert Whittaker, everybody kind of sucked, right? You had that brief Chris Weidman, Luke Rockhold rivalry. Neither one of them held on to the belt for very long. Both of them never looked the same after losing the belt. And then in the wake of that, you had Yoel Romero and Robert Whittaker have their legendary two fights, which Rob got both of those decision wins. Then Rob gets injured. Adesanya gets an interim title shot against the fat, short dude, Calvin Gastelum, who's 5'9", and Israel Adesanya is 6'4". And then he had a whole bunch, besides his two fights against Whittaker, in which the first one he knocked Whittaker out, he had a whole bunch of really kind of defensively sound snooze fests where he low-kicked his opponents in all of his title defenses to a victory. The Yoel Romero fight against Adesanya, legendarily bad. He did put a beating on Paulo Costa, but Costa has tiny little T-Rex arms. And again, Adesanya has this ridiculous, and his just shift back and lean back defense was his defense always against dudes who were shorter than him with shorter reach. And that Sean Strickland fight wasn't even the first crack in the armor. He went up to go fight Jan Blachowicz at light heavyweight, lost that fight. He then lost the belt to Alex Pereira when he was still at middleweight. His best win ever was regaining the belt against Alex Pereira in his only win out of their 5 fights across kickboxing and MMA. And then immediately after that, Sean Strickland, in his own words, dog walks Adesanya, and then when he got a title shot against Dricus du Plessis, he gets submitted, and now he's on his third loss in a row. I like in his last 5 fights, that's 4 losses.
That sucks.
Dude, if we're talking about fraud checks, because you're going to bring up fraud checks a little bit later, Adesanya, man, was he ever that good? Was he ever that good?
That'll be the
This is something
question, I
people are
think.
going to talk about, you know?
Yeah, that is, I think, going to be one of the significant questions on this point is how good was he really? Because like, yeah, I don't know. I think we're definitely on the downward on this Adesanya roller coaster. I don't know how much longer you think we're going to see this guy.
It's hard to say, and I do just want to make mention of something because I did rewatch that. It's less than 2 rounds long, but I did rewatch the fight today, and one thing that I noticed is that you're right. Adesanya looked good in round number one. He was super active. If you look at his face, I think he spends as much energy posturing as he does actually fighting in this fight. Adesanya has some mental issues, I think, besides just having a kind of a suspect chin at this point. I don't think he's ever coming back. I don't think he's ever looking the same. Feel free to prove me wrong, dude, but middleweight is getting better, and you're not.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is kind of a young man's game. I mean, if the division is going to improve and you're getting older, then you're probably not going to be the guy who rockets back to the top. To be fair, though, I mean we'll probably see him another like half dozen times before he's finally done with. Um, but yeah, this is definitely going to be one that goes down as that time that Israel Adesanya was truly over.
Absolutely. And Nasruddin getting a performance of the night bonus for this. For the record, yes, I think he deserves a title shot above Khamzat Chimaev, even though Chimaev might be the more dangerous fighter. But Nasruddin's just done more. I think he deserves it after this. After next weekend when those guys fight for the belt again. In our co-main event, we had Shara Magomedov losing his undefeated record to Michael Venom Page. Can I hear it, Clark?
He got fraud check, baby. Everyone's saying it. Everyone already
Let's go.
knows. It's a beautiful thing, man.
So, yeah. The output from both guys is pretty low, and I would have given round number 3 to Shara because he still wasn't catching Michael Venom Page on the chin necessarily, but I got a couple looks from Page there in round number 3 that seemed like he did not like the power he felt when Shara got to him, and Shara hits like a fucking freight train, but so does Michael Venom Page, and he landed flush so many times on our mighty Neanderthal and could not even really knock him down. Stumbled him a few times. But Page has incredible ring craft. He's not getting pinned up against the cage without showing a weapon that scares his opponents from coming in. Because, traditionally, I mean, against Israel Adesanya in the main event, oh, wow, this guy backs up a lot and he's hard to hit at distance. If I back him up to the cage, now I got him. Well, when Page was up against the cage, rhyming intentional, Shara would not advance. He clearly had felt some power he didn't like, and he was worried about what was coming back. And when you're missing a guy to the head like that so often, and the only success Shara had in this fight really was an outside low kick to the thigh, not even the calf. That's gonna wear on you, dude. Even if Shara kept coming forward, and I saw at least um, one move that Shara had planned for this fight, which is when Page shifts in for an attack. Shara tried to crash in with an elbow and catch him. He showed it once accidentally off of a feint, so I think Page was smart to it, got hip to it. But for rounds 1 and 2, Page was elusive, could not be caught, would not be hit. His output wasn't great necessarily, but he gets a clear decision win against one of the most dangerous guys at middleweight. And in case I haven't said it yet, Michael Venom Page is naturally a welterweight. So very impressive. Even if I don't enjoy the fighter personally and his nonstop showboating personality, you got to hand it to him. This was an impressive performance.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. I didn't really expect it to go this way, but it did, and I'm kind of happy about it. I wonder if Shara sucker punched anyone in the parking lot afterwards.
That's a good thing to bring up. Interestingly, the only person who shot for a takedown in this fight was Michael Venom Page, and did not get it. Um, Page said that he wants to move up to light heavyweight and fight Jiri Prochazka. And strangely enough, I'm worried for Jiri if he takes that fight. Logically, Jiri should be just way too fucking big for Page to do anything to. And yet, after doing this to Shara Magomedov, I am worried. Please don't take that fight, Jiri. Um,
Yeah, you're a big Page believer, huh?
Well,
We're turning the
I've
page over here.
I've already seen him get fraud checked once in Bellator when he got low kicked, fell over, and then knocked out trying to get to his feet. So it's not like he has an iron chin necessarily. He needs that elusiveness. It's just, man, Jiri could not find Alex Pereira. Twice he had the chance, twice he could not find the chin of Alex Pereira. So is he going to catch Page? I doubt it.
Yeah. Reasonable point, honestly.
But hopefully Page goes back down to welterweight and guys are just a little bit too fast for him still. Moving on down.
Dude. Oh, baby, the worst fight.
The worst fight of the night. I predicted that this was Jairzinho Rozenstruik's fight to lose, that Sergey Pavlovich would likely be aggressive and frustrated if he could not find the target, but that if Sergey was using feints and looked patient, that would be a good sign for Sergey. The few times that either of these guys really landed, it was Sergey landing the better strikes, and he punctuated every round with like a big fat man lazy takedown. And Rozenstruik, Biggie Boy just gets lazy. He gets so freaking lazy, and he did 3 rounds of this fight. He got lazy. His, corners yelling at him, K1, throw the kicks. You got to go forward. But he must have felt some of that Sergey power once or twice when he got hit,
This fight made me feel like I should have gone into the UFC as a heavyweight, dude. I don't know. Aspinall actually posted some shit on social media about this fight. It was like what a stinker. Like, heavyweight sucks. And I mean, he's right. There's basically him at the top, and that's it. That's the whole division. Everyone else is so substantially just worse in so many ways. And heavyweight can be it could be a good division. It doesn't have to be like this, where it's just 2 fat guys fucking, and one guy's just clearly the stronger and 0.1% faster fat guy, and he just wins every fight. I mean, these guys are both in the top 10 of the division. And
neither of these guys are really fat either.
No,
which is
yeah, that's a fair point too. I mean, Rozenstruik a little more, I guess, but it's just it feels like there's just such a lack of athleticism. I don't know if it's a scouting problem or what, but it really feels like heavyweight does not have to suck this much ass.
It's such a strange situation because back in the day, if you open your time portal back to the year 2010, maybe 2012, and you yank Roy Big Country Nelson into the modern UFC, just an enormously beer belly gut having fat dude who's 5'10" and fights at heavyweight. Does he not crack most of these guys because he's just not afraid to take a punch and he comes forward?
I would love to actually run that experiment, but
go even further back in time and grab in his prime Randy Couture. I've seen lots of people posting clips of a prime Randy Couture at heavyweight who was half the size of most of these dudes and twice as athletic and was picking up heavyweights and slamming them and, finishing fights. It's sad, man.
Really is.
These heavyweights are so gun shy. They're so afraid to get hit. What's going on, But Sergey lost his last fight getting frustrated, rushing forward and getting punched a whole bunch. So it kind of makes sense for him to have this tentative performance. And okay, editor Francis, clip in a few shots of Rozenstruik actually getting cracked. This is why he stopped coming forward and the fight stank, is because Pavlovich wanted to counterpunch and Rozenstruik got hit like that. And then they both just fucked around for 3 rounds. And Sergey realized he had to do something to make sure he was winning the round. So he went for a lazy takedown in all 3 rounds. He got 2 of 2 takedowns for 6 minutes of control time.
Oh.
Man, so bad. So bad. Let's not waste any more time on this.
All right, baby. We got Saeed Nurmagomedov and Vinicius Oliveira. 2 big names, dude. This is a big name fight.
It really was. Saeed Nurmagomedov coming off of a long layoff. I'm not sure if it was from injury or why he hadn't fought in a while. Vinicius Oliveira, on the other hand, is coming up, and I'm just going to shout out my picks because I got a bunch of them right. I said Vinicius Oliveira is dangerous. I think he's going to be too much for Said, and that's really what happened. Um, Not exactly, I guess. Vinicius outpaced the Nurmagomedov on the feet. Both of these guys were throwing an incredible amount of spinning kicks and landing just about every time. And something that Vinicius said after the fight is that going into this fight, he likely had a broken rib. So to be able to put a pace on a guy like that while sustaining an injury like that in training camp, still taking the fight, going as like dog ridiculous into the fight like he did, into the grappling exchanges and just slugging it out, throwing incredible spinning shit the whole way through. These guys do deserve fight of the night. It was just incredible.
Yeah, the shit was pretty crazy. I didn't realize that cracked rib was going in on this. That's kind of nuts, actually. Um, a lot of good grappling work was done here, which I could appreciate. But at the same time, some good standing up cracks. It's a good fight. Bravo.
Absolutely. And now that we're finally getting into one of these fights that was grappling, punching, grappling, and the transitions are so fast and so crisp. The type I've, you know what? I knew what I was going to call this video when I was watching this fight. Forget iron sharpens iron. We just saw Damascus steel in Saudi Arabia. Okay. We're seeing a revolution in the sport this year. This year it's happening, 2025. And we first saw it in the Umar versus Merab title fight, where it was a nonstop fight, both on the feet and going into the wrestling, and then back on the feet and into the wrestling. We are starting to see a dissolving of the barrier between those two areas in the sport, and this is another example of that. Guys who are as good on the ground as they are on the feet, and they're at the razor's edge of the sport in both categories. The prophetic moment that this was going to happen was the original Arman Sarukian Islam Makhachev fight at lightweight. And we have more fights on this fight card that are like living up to this idea of guys who are as good on the feet as they are on the ground, and they're mixing it up really effectively. This is another reason a guy like Israel Adesanya is going to be left behind by the division, because this is happening. It's going down, dude. But awesome win for Vinicius Oliveira. I can't wait to see how much further he goes. He called out Umar in his post-fight interview, which is a good fight. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Moving down the card. Oh my God. If I had to pick fight of the night, I probably would have picked Faraz Ziam versus Mike Davis. There was a lot of weird shit going on in this fight. Some people were very suspicious of Mike Davis pulling guard in round number one, and some of the betting lines shifting really suspiciously. But no one told Faraz Ziam that there was weird shit going on. And for what it's worth, Mike Davis just about, like for any other human being on this planet, they would never walk again. Here is this fully locked in knee submission that is Faraz Ziam's knee facing the complete freaking wrong way. I don't know why I didn't say fucking, but
He's
it
scared.
was, it was, dude, I was scared. I was scared. Look at this picture. Look at that knee. How does that
Yeah,
make any sense, dude? He
was
got up,
it was pretty fucked up, actually.
and he won all 3 rounds. He cut Mike Davis really brutally. He got cut in return, to be fair. On the feet, Mike Davis very clearly had a punching power advantage, but Ziam just had way more weapons, man. And even when they went to the grappling, when Mike Davis was trying to put him in submissions, like that, oh, the knee, it just didn't work. For whatever reason, it just didn't work. Again, a fight that went from the striking to the grappling to the striking, lots of transitions. Ziam getting 4 of 7 takedowns. Davis just getting 1 of 8. 62% striking accuracy for Faraz Ziam. He wasn't throwing a whole lot, landed 35 of 56 significant strikes. Pretty low output fight for the striking, but just what was done both with the grappling and the striking, super significant. Another prospected lightweight, another surging fighter in Faraz Ziam.
Yeah.
I love to see it.
I was gonna say, I mean, this is like his 5th win or something in a row. He kind of is hitting his stride a little bit, isn't he?
Yep.
That's wonderful. I'm happy for him.
Hell yeah.
I mean, he's been in
I
for a while now, so it is good to see guys like develop in that regard, going from the kind of shitty openers of winning and losing occasionally to a guy like this kind of finally hitting a streak. And I think he deserves it because he obviously put on a pretty good performance.
100%. That was our main card opener. Closing out the prelims, we had Muhammad Naimov versus Khan Offley, Genghis. Whenever you see a guy trying to hype himself up as being like the conqueror of the world and you haven't heard his name yet,
You
you
took
know,
this Genghis Khan mention personally, huh?
Muhammad Naimov's winning all 3 rounds in my books. Khan Offley's only success in this fight was holding Muhammad against the fence for brief portions, and he couldn't hold him there. Out of distance, Naimov had the crisper striking, the faster punches, and something that I really like is, a lot of these like dudes from the Caucasus or Central Asia, for whatever reason, they all have like 10 years of Taekwondo experience. So on top of having, this grappling puncher style, they also have lots of impressive kicks. He showed it off a little bit in this fight, very snappy kicks. Um, wins a pretty clear 3-round decision, doesn't necessarily run away with it because Khan was able to hold him up against the fence for stretches of this fight, getting like 3.5 minutes of control time. But then on the flip side is that when Naimov was able to reverse position, he could actually take his opponent down and hold him there. Offley being 0 on 6 for takedowns, Naimov being 2 for 2. Not great striking accuracy necessarily, but most of this fight was contested in the grappling.
Yeah. Pretty impressive showing by Naimov. I do appreciate the bounce back from his loss to Lima, or whatever the hell his name was last year in June. I don't know. I do like Naimov, but I do just kind of worry that this is a guy who's going to get fraud checked at some point pretty severely. He is quite good. He's got good grappling, but I just worry a little bit sometimes about the striking, like you said, accuracy and stuff like that. I don't know. It feels like there's a good opening where he might get himself into a position where it's like, oh, he's like a serious contender, that he's just gonna get just cracked by someone who's got more striking, better accuracy, better power. But until such day comes, I don't mind watching him fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are right. Featherweight is just a murderer's row.
Yeah.
So who knows if he can even crack the top 15, but we'll be around to see. Before that, man,
I
man,
love heavyweight fights.
for what it's worth, this one didn't last very long,
yeah.
which was merciful. Shamil Gaziev catching Thomas Peterson on just the end of a nice punch. Shamil was looking pretty fast, and he had less of the gut than he usually does. Saudi Arabia, less PED testing, question mark. But, oh well, Gaziev gets a first-round knockout. For the record, just so everyone remembers, Gaziev was obliterated by Jairzinho Rozenstruik for 5 rounds. Just so everyone remembers where we're at, this is still fucking heavyweight, and it sucks.
It's so weird. He's such a weird guy because he's like won all these other fights except for that fight with Rozenstruik, and it's like, what is this guy doing? What's going on? Is this guy for real? What's his end game?
His end game is the buffet tray, I think.
I guess he's like 34. He's just such a weird dude to be going in there. I wonder who encouraged him to like join the UFC, but I don't know. He keeps kind of getting these low balls. And to be fair, this was Saudi Arabia. This is a guy from the Middle East that they're kind of throwing in early-ish on, getting a relatively easy win. So whatever.
Yeah.
But he's just a weird guy. We've seen him a lot relatively recently, and like within the last year. I don't know. When will we see him again? Aspinall matchup soon?
Oh, I don't think Aspinall's ready.
Yeah.
Before that, we have T-Rex Terrence McKinney. If you don't love him, you don't love this sport. The man just goes completely ballistic for the first 5 minutes of the fight, and then it never goes longer than that. He was able to finish Damir Hadzovic, the Bosnian bomber. Damir wasn't even able to catch him, man. And Terrence throws so fast, just ridiculous speed. No chin though, because he gets knocked out. So it's over and around no matter how it's going to go. And this one went his way though.
Yeah, I can always appreciate guys that don't waste my time and just want like the fight's gonna end either way within about a minute and a half. So you know, like you could just watch for those short bursts. It's kind of a UFC for the TikTok generation, you know. Um, why is Damir Hadzovic called the Bosnian bomber? He's from
I,
Denmark. What does that mean? Did he bomb Bosnia?
well, no, he's
That's
probably like ethnically Bosnian,
that's
but grew up
highly
in Denmark.
political thing for him to be saying. You know, I'm just saying
Well, I guess
you can't say that shit.
the bomb disarm. Oh, what the fuck? The bomb
Bomb has been
disarm.
disarmed.
The bomb has been
Counter
disarmed.
terrorist win.
Exactly.
There we go. I made the joke for you. Yeah, he is actually originally from Bosnia. So I just saw Denmark and I'm like, why the fuck is he called that? That's okay.
Thanks for catching that fumble there.
Yeah, dude. No dude.
Before
women,
that,
the rare
women
species.
in Saudi Arabia.
That's not fucking allowed, dude.
What the
They just
fuck?
got men there, don't they?
No, allegedly also they've allowed women in for the first time. A first for the renowned LGBT gay homeland, Saudi Arabia. Jasmine Jasudavicius is rapidly becoming my favorite WMMA fighter. I'm so sorry, Angela Hill, but you fell off. You were great in your day. You fought like 5 times a year. We all loved you, but Jasmine is now, friendship ended with Angela Hill, now best friends with Jasmine Jasudavicius. She's doing everything right. She's doing everything right. She's mixing in body punches with the head punches, which is so smart. So few women are throwing body punches, and it opens up the head punches because your opponent drops their guard to try to block the body. Then once she's worried about the punches, she goes for the takedown. She gets the takedown. In the post-fight interview, Jasmine is saying that she wants to be the lady version of GSP. She's not there yet, but she's doing a lot of the things right that she's going to need to.
Yeah, Jasmine. I mean, I feel like I've used this metaphor before, but it's kind of like how in American football, where you have to do running plays, even if you're mostly trying to pass, because you have to kind of keep the defense honest. You have to keep them thinking that you might do a running play every once in a while. If you're just throwing those long bombs, then they know they could just do coverage and all that bullshit, right? If you're just throwing those head punches, no one's ever got to block the body. But if they actually have to sit there and think in that split second of, oh shit, is this going to be a body punch? Is this going to be a head punch? Is this going to be a takedown attempt? If you're actually making someone have to think about those things, you can get hits in that you wouldn't get in otherwise. And Jasmine has become very proficient at doing this, which, I mean, just like you, I could really appreciate. I don't know, Matt. How far do you think she'll go before she inevitably gets annihilated by, like, I don't know, fucking Alexa Grasso or something?
If I just quickly check Jasmine's record here, because I know so she's lost to Tracy Cortez.
Yeah, that one.
And that's all the way back in 2023. So she's picked up 4 wins since then, and she's picked up 2 performance of the night bonuses, both by submission. So she really has made improvements since then. She has that win over Miranda Maverick. Let's see. And then you have to go back to 2022 to find another loss against Natalie Silva. So she's been figuring a lot of these things out, because even 2 or 3 fights ago, I did not see the body work like she had in this fight. She's been picking up steam, and momentum is such a big deal in MMA. The confidence of the fighter, and she's building confidence as well. Bueno Silva, by my eye, had a power advantage. Way bigger shoulders, way heavier punches, but could not find the target, and just got deterred as she was getting beat the fuck up by Jasmine. So, we'll see. Another little wrinkle in this is that she was training with Zhang Wei Li in her preparation for her title defense. So she's a part of a team that is creating and maintaining champions, and that's another good sign. So the sky's the limit for Jasmine. We just got to see how far she goes.
Yeah, good luck, Jasmine. Do your best.
Hell yeah. Oh, Canada. Before that, Bogdan Grad versus Lucas Alexander. This one was a bit of a sleeper hit on the prelims. Bogdan was getting tagged early and often. Lucas was using his extreme height and reach advantage to tag Bogdan, using kicks, knees, elbows. But Bogdan could not be deterred. Just a very strange little dude, and incredibly densely muscled. what the fuck is going on with this guy? He shoots 8 takedowns, he gets 3, and he ends up getting that TKO in the second round, putting a pace on a guy and not letting off the gas until he quits. That's a very popular style right now, at featherweight. The only worry is that Bogdan is a little undersized for featherweight. He's a little short, and he doesn't necessarily have the reach of most of these guys, but he showed that he's able to take a shot and return one just as hard. And if he gets you on the ground, man, that reach doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, dude, manlet rights.
I think they're starting to learn.
Manlet revolution is happening.
Ugh. And the fight that opened the whole card, I'm going to come out and say it. I'm pretty sure Jamal Pogues won this fight.
He actually didn't. I don't know if you could see the win, the little win.
Yeah.
It's actually on
Yeah.
the
So
handy.
I know what the judges scored. And Sal D'Amato getting this one wrong as well. Tony Weeks, the only honest judge among the three. I've never heard of Ben Cartledge before, but he also got this wrong. All 3 rounds, Jamal outlanded Hamdi. Hamdi is coming off of a 2-year steroid suspension. He shows up and has he gets tired after the first 2 punches that he throws and is gun shy for 3 rounds, gets a single takedown and cannot hold down an unranked heavyweight. Think about what Sergey did to Rosenstrike, take down and lay on top of him. Could not do that, and he's supposed to be like a former Olympian wrestler. Hamdi sucks, dude. I hate this guy. I hope they match him up against like Derek Lewis, and Derek Lewis just stands up and knocks him out, even at his old age, But I thought Jamal won this fight, and this was like a pretty lame fight beyond that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. When you really put it all together, it feels like Jamal should have won. Sometimes you just want to talk to the judges. It's like the opener. It's like, who gives a shit, maybe, is their thinking. Or, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they just, not that into it yet. They, just woke up, jet lag or something. I don't fucking know, dude. But when you look at some of these numbers, just, without even looking at the fight, you're just like, how did they give it to fucking Hamdi? But, I mean, whatever. At the end of the day, as sad as it is to say it, that's what a lot of these early prelim type things are. You kind of have to get that finish, or else you really just, you better start praying. And when you're in Saudi Arabia, you better be praying to Allah.
I suppose so. And this has been our recap of UFC Saudi Arabia, Adesanya versus Imavov. A lot of really important fights for some divisions, even sadly heavyweight. Stay tuned for a little bit later on in the week. I'm going to be doing a prediction video for the rematch between Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis for the middleweight belt. I've already rewatched their first fight, and I got a lot to say. So stay tuned, and we'll catch you next time.
Better watch it, or we're going to come for you.
Or else.